universe revolve. Beauty in your eyes as the harmony of your intent resolve. They sold discord, but they can't overthrow your melody. My friend and my lord, I'll stay here and sing of you and me. And I'll stay with you. I'll stay, kept warm in the light of your truth. I will stay. Fading horizons as the sons of earth neglect to stay awake. But I'll make the difference through every single failure and mistake. I sought solution for everything that we were meant to be. My resolution will live forever in eternity. And I'll stay with you. I'll stay, keep warm in the light of my truth. I will stay with you. I'll stay, keep warm in the light of my truth. I'll stay with you. I'll stay, keep warm in the light of my truth, and show you what love's meant to do. We'll show them what love's meant to do. I will stay.
Welcome to Let 'em Cook, everybody. I'm your host, Samuel Day. Thank you guys for hanging out again. Tonight, we're making tomato soup. This is, Abby says, please don't put spaghetti in this. I won't put spaghetti in this. This is our first friend-submitted recipe. I'm going to be making tomato soup from scratch. Never made it before. This came from Abby. So if it's great, thank her. If it's terrible, blame her. All right, here we go. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to start the stream a little bit differently tonight. I need to sharpen my knife. And you're probably thinking, what's up with the goggles, Sam? You guys know about my relationship with onions. And I have to finely chop 2 of these. So the first thing we're going to do tonight is sharpen my knife to make sure I can move through that quickly. So I've got my whetstone, getting all the air bubbles out of it right now in the sink. And then these goggles are literally to protect my precious eyeballs from the onions. If you're watching on YouTube or on Instagram and you see any issues with the stream, please let me know in the chat. I do my best to keep an eye on it, but things get a little bit crazy in here. So, get a hold of me. Also tonight, we're going to be doing another thumbnail competition. Last week, we did an anime-style thumbnail competition. Jacob, JL Cloudfelter, was the winner of that one. We had them people voted on the results in my Instagram story. This week, we're going to be doing another thumbnail competition. This one's not going to be anime. It can be any aesthetic that you want. It can be realistic, it can look like a movie, it can be a cartoon, video game, art style. The art style doesn't matter, but the theme tonight is going to be mad scientist. Since I'm going to have a big pot of stuff and some goggles, somewhere about midway through the stream, I'll hit a crazy pose, I'll put the goggles on, and the theme for tonight is going to be mad scientist. I need to get a better way for you guys to be able to submit those to me. I haven't quite figured that out yet. Some of you DM them to me on Instagram. That's probably the best way, is to DM them to me on Instagram. Abby says if it's bad, blame him. He's the one cooking it. As soon as I saw the goggles, I knew. Mine was terrible, to be honest. Have you made tomato soup before, Callista? If you're new here, I know somebody was commenting up here. If you're new here, make sure that you go follow Samuel Day on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, to hear some new music. We've had 3 songs come out this year. I've got another 2 in the basket and a bunch more being worked on. And we're going to be sharing that throughout the day. A couple of things to look forward to in tonight's stream. I'm trying to add more stuff to just fuel the conversation. We'll have our deep thought of the day, as always. Always want to make sure that we're talking about something substantive and not just... There may be some streams where I just goof off, but most streams we've got a deep thought of the day, usually coming from scripture, from the Bible. And then also, I'm doing a new thing, and it's going to be video of the day. So we book in these streams with music videos. The Stay music video that you just saw at the end, usually it's through the night. I've got another one thrown in there now. But I have so much vlog and travel content on my YouTube channel that is good. I think deserves some more eyeballs. So we're going to be dipping back into some of those things. I have a whole series from when I was in London. I'm still working through the series from when I was in Ireland. And I have a video from when I was playing with my Nigerian friend, Femi, in Chicago a couple years ago, and we're going to check that one out tonight. But it's time to get started. First of all, by just sharpening these knives. Not Z3 says, hi, I'm new. What's up, buddy? Thanks for joining us. Okay, we're going to sharpen this knife. So I've had my whetstone getting all the air bubbles out for the last few minutes. And I've sharpened this knife before, last year. So this, I think I'm just going to do a finer grit and then work it down a little bit with the finishing ceramic block here and call it good. Need to check something here. Just double check that I know what I'm talking about with my sanding grits. And the chosen weapon this evening is right over here, so we're just going to make sure it's nice and prepped. Lower numbers are coarse. See, I knew it was something like that. And higher numbers polish the edge. Okay, so we're not going to spend too much time. I've got 1,000 and then a 6,000. We're going to start on the 1,000 side. Drip a little bit more water onto the top of this thing, because that's the way it's meant to be used, is actually and truly wet. Guard your ears if you're sensitive to scraping sounds, because it's coming. Abby says, show the one where you ate the octopus. So I ate some small, hors d'oeuvre octopus when I was on a work trip to Miami, and I do have a travel vlog from that. So I'm just going to sharpen this knife, even pressure with my fingers, back and forward, trying to keep the angle consistent. Again, I'm not being too aggressive because this is a coarser grit. And this knife has been sharpened before, so I'm not trying to take a ton of material off of it, because that's how you wear down your knives prematurely. But I'm just going to hit both sides briefly, because we have a war to wage against these onions here pretty soon. How's everybody's week been? I know here in Texas, in the Fort Worth area, the weather has been very back and forth. It was warm. I thought it was going to stay warm. And look, I'm from Ohio. I was there just a couple of weeks ago. It's not like it got cold here, but it got colder than I was expecting it to get over the last few days. What's great, though, is that it's mostly been in the Goldilocks zone, where even though it does get pretty cold, I don't have to turn on my heater or my air conditioner. I can just put more layers of clothing on at night, and my toes are cold, but otherwise I'm fine. Okay. All right. Just a little bit of work on the coarser grit there. Let's go over to the fine grit, same thing. Callista, I forgot to take my earbuds out. The scraping, no. What's up, Francisco? Francisco just joined in over on YouTube. Good to see you, buddy. So like I said, tonight's thumbnail competition will be Mad Scientist themed, so that'll be fun. Art style does not matter. Trying to add as many like interactive elements to this as I can. This started off as just something I was sort of doing on the side to talk about music while I'm cooking. It's kind of growing into a thing, so I'm glad you're all here. Can you hear that scraping pretty prominently? I have my microphone is right here. It's clipped to the goggles. So hopefully it's not too loud. Yeah, the goggles are pretty uncommon, you know? The goggles are to protect me from the onions earlier. Somebody do a little bit of Google Kung Fu for me. I was talking to Abby about this earlier. When your eyes are sensitive to onions, is that a hereditary thing? Is it like a genetic thing? Because I don't think it happens to everybody to the same degree. And here's my rationale for that. I'm what they call a super taster. I found this out in middle school. I was in a science class, and our science teacher essentially had this this chemical that she had us taste. And she said, if you can taste the bitterness of this, you're technically what's classified as a super taster. It means you can taste, you just taste more than other people, apparently because of the density of your taste buds in your mouth. I could taste it. I'm a super taster. Some people have the gene that makes cilantro taste like dish soap to them. I don't have that problem. I want cilantro on my tacos. It's great. So with those two things in mind, is high sensitivity to onion in your eyeballs, is that a genetic thing? Does anybody know? Yeah, so you're right. Francisco says, I remember those goggles from the Through the Night music video. You're correct. And they probably seem really out of place in that video right now. There's a scene in the video where you see these goggles, you see a beaten up scarf. There's also a spot where you see me look at a Polaroid, but you never really see what's on it. Those scenes do have some meaning, but you're going to have to wait until the future when another music video comes out to know what they're connected to. Just some light world building. What's some light world building between friends, right? Okay, I think we're finished with that. Just gonna let this dry out, set it to the side. And just, I'm gonna hit it with this finishing ceramic really quick. And then I should really go through and do this to all my knives again, but you kind of have to make a night of it if you do, because it takes some time. No, what am I doing? That was the wrong thing to do. This ceramic piece is to flatten out the whetstone. It's not to be used on the knife. I should not have done that. I was like, this feels wrong and I can't place why. That was why. Okay, hang on. I'm going to use the fine grit one more time to undo any damage I may have just done. No, I haven't used this thing in a while. I forgot that block is used to level out the top of your whetstone and make sure it's perfectly straight every once in a while. You're not supposed to use it on the knife. That was silly. You can tell it's been a minute since I've done this. Okay, there we go. Rinse that off one more time. Set it to the side. So, Callista, can you cover up the scraping? I can't. I'm sorry. So, once again, we're making tomato soup tonight, and it's Abby's recipe. Let me go ahead and read the recipe to you. Okay, Abby had a little conversation with ChatGPT. She says, Chat says genetics play a slight role if you produce more tears naturally, but when onions are cold or refrigerated, then it's less irritating to the eyes. You said that to me, and I really wasn't sure. But I guess it's true. So if I had refrigerate with these, they would hurt me less. So in the future, I'm going to do that. But tonight you get the content. I also have seen that there are certain ways to cut onions that release less of those gases. It has to do with like them coming from the core of it or something, or some kind of defense mechanism. I don't know those things. Let me read this recipe to you really quick. So, for tonight's tomato soup, we need 4 tablespoons of butter, 1 to 2 yellow onions finely chopped. I've got 2. A tablespoon of minced garlic, 56 ounces of crushed tomatoes. Got those right here. 2 cups of chicken stock, a 1/4 cup of fresh basil or some lightly dried basil. I have lightly dried because I ordered my groceries from Walmart. Tablespoon of sugar, 1/2 tablespoon of black pepper, 1/2 cup of heavy whipping cream, or to taste to combat the acidity, and 1/3 cup of fresh grated Parmesan cheese to taste. So, let me read over this. We're just going to read this together because I want to make sure that I don't mess this up. Heat on a non-reactive stainless steel pot or enameled Dutch oven over medium heat. Add butter and then add chopped onions. So we're going to put the butter in first and then add. So the first thing we really need to do is chop the onions. Saute 10 to 12 minutes, add minced garlic, crushed tomatoes. Okay, so our first task is going to be tackling these onions. So, Callista, I'm going to assume that you don't like it when people like scratch their nails down a chalkboard either. In fact, even just me talking about that is probably giving you the tinglies in your fingers. You know, when you think about the enamel of the keratin of someone's fingernails just ever so slightly grinding down that slate and making that screech sound. Was that helpful? Did you like that? Probably not. Okay. All right, I'm walking away like there's something else to do. Oh, yeah. I don't know if I have a finishing steel. I do have a finishing steel. That's the last thing I need to do. So this doesn't actually sharpen the knife. A lot of people think it does. That's not what it does. It doesn't remove any material. There are micro like rolls and folds at the end of the blade, and this straightens those back out. So just going to kind of hit it on both sides a little bit, trying to keep the angle consistent. Some people are really fast with this. Some people are really confident. I am not that experienced with it. So I go slow. All right. Our weapon has been brought back up to 100. We got to start with the onions. We have to. And I don't know how long this is going to take, guys, so pray for me. Jacob says, I'm working, but I'm here to roast him too. You guys yell at me if he does anything horrendous. You heard the man. All right. I'm trying to put the camera where you guys can see me work here. Okay. I'm just going to go ahead and put the goggles on because we're about to cut into these deals. All right. Yes. Callista's like, all right, I'm gone. Sorry. I'm sorry. Abby says at work we clean the oven plates with a metal scraper. I take a video of it and send it to my sister. I'll put you in the chat too, Callista. Francisco says, asked if he can ask me a question. Well, of course you can ask me a question, Francisco. You're a trusted viewer. I don't think you're going to get out of pocket. You notice that when people get into the chat and get out of pocket, I just ignore them, dude. I let you guys take care of the riffraff. You're the law enforcement. You're the police around here. Got my trash can off to the side here. Oh, man. I can already feel that in my nose. I'm genuinely glad I have these on, although they're not exactly airtight. If I really wanted that, I would have my pool goggles on, but then I would look like a total frog. All right. Cut off the ends here. Strip out the outsides. Have I mentioned how much I really would like to get a wooden cutting board sometime soon? I'm trying to like cook with all wood and glass. I'm trying to do all of my food work with like all wood and glass and metal stuff. Trying to get plastic out of the equation. I'm not panicky about plastic. As I've said many times before, I was raised in the suburbs of a small town. But, you know, I don't want to eat. I'm just trying to get it out of my food prep process. Francisco says, what would you recommend as a good recording microphone to start off? I really recommend the AKG Perception series, which is actually what I still use to this day. They are the best bang for the buck condenser mics you can get. A lot of people want to get like a Shure SM7B. Those are very popular right now, and you've seen me use them. I have one of those too. But those are what you call dynamic mics, which means they need sound to hit the diaphragm on the inside of the microphone and vibrate it to have a signal going, which means you have to crank them up louder to get a good signal, or you have to put what's called a cloud lifter in front of them. And they tend to have more of a noise floor, which basically means as you start to turn them up more, you get more and more subtle static on the bottom, which doesn't sound like a big problem until you really start adding effects to them, and then it's hard. You have to manage it. It's a little harder to get it to go away. So I still recommend to people that they use a condenser microphone of some kind. Now, I have used the SM7B to do final vocals on songs before. Beautiful Dream I did with that mic. But just about every other song you've ever heard from me, including Raindrops, even though I know in the music I'm using the 7B, or in the video I'm using the 7B, in the actual recording I'm using an AKG Perception microphone. Now I have the 200, AKG Perception 200, they don't make that one anymore. I think the one they make now is called the AKG Perception 220. It's just the newer version of the same mic. You can find an AKG 414 microphone starting at, hang on, I'm going to back up from this. An industry standard microphone is the AKG 414. That's about $1,000 starting. But the AKG Perception series starts at about $200, and that's actually very cheap for a microphone. So cheap, some people wouldn't even trust a microphone that cheap. My AKG Perception 200 was $200 when I got it, over a decade ago. Every recording you've heard from me, I did with that mic. I pair it up with a Chaotica eyeball to give it a little bit of isolation, and that's not the same as using a vocal booth, but it does help just get some of the early echo reflections out of your recording. So I very much recommend to start off with, because I think it's the best bang for your buck, a starter level AKG Perception microphone, which I believe now is the Perception 220. Abby says she's watching to make sure I don't mess up the recipe since I already said you'd blame me. Well, I should say, first of all, anyone who wants to submit a recipe for me to make on stream, I would love to see it. I have one other one. It's an Italian chopped sandwich recipe that came from my aunt. My aunt. How do you pronounce it? Aunt. European, North American. You tell me. But I'm starting with this one. And it doesn't have to be a cooking recipe. It can be baking. We can do cookies. We can do desserts here. Just remember, I might mess it up. Hopefully I don't. I probably won't. I'm getting much better at cooking. You're watching me level up in real time. But that said, if you send me a recipe, you're also in the hot seat with me. Welcome. All right. I need to stop yapping and onions. Start dicing these onions. So since we're dicing, I know how to cut an onion, but like dicing is You just want to get it as small as you can. So here's my strategy. I want to get them as flat as I can so I can just kind of feed them through and then just make them really small. I have a slap chop, and I don't know if that would be easier to dice them with, but I think I would need to get them small anyway. And I'm going to be honest, I hate cleaning the slap chop. It's so there's so many crevices. You can't just run water over it and call it good. Like, you got to get in there. That's time I don't want to spend cleaning the slap chop. The more you talk, the longer your eyes are going to be exposed to the onions. I know, but the goggles are actually doing a great job right now. Don't be slippery on me, dude. I'm really glad I sharpened this knife, though. Feels a little better than it did before, and even at that, I feel like it could be a little sharper, but I'm not going to be too picky about it. Again, though, normally I'm working with red onions. These are sweet yellow onions, and I kind of feel like it's not as bad, but I have my goggles on, too. Gotta watch my thumb here. I know that there's that, like the chef grip you're supposed to use where your knuckles protrude forward. It just feels so unnatural to me, so I'm trying to remember good technique. When I was in music school, I was a saxophone major. Oh, I feel it in my eyes a little bit. Come on. Come on. This is our first onion. We're going to set our other one off to the side. I cleaned my countertop earlier today, so it's fine. Oh, I feel it a little bit. I'm going to push through it. When I was in music school, I was a saxophone major. And one of the things, he never did it to me, but my saxophone professor was very demanding. Even more so of other students than me, because I wasn't a performance major. I was a Bachelor of Arts major. So the performance majors, he really got onto. So I took classical saxophone with him for 2 years, and then I took 2 years of jazz saxophone with a different instructor. But one of the things he would do to teach students correct technique so that their fingers weren't flying too far off of the instrument, because the further your fingers fly off of the instrument between notes, the longer they have to go to return back into playing position, and that slows you down. You can't play as quickly or as precisely. The same is true for playing the guitar or really any other instrument. When we play live, when we do concerts, we make big exaggerated motions for showmanship, but it's not actually good technique. And what I was told by some of the other students was that he would hold needles in the air, just to the outside of their fingers, to train them not to let their fingers fly off, to have tight, oh, I feel it a little bit in my eyes, but they're working. The goggles are helping. It's like +3 onion defense. It's not perfect. It's not like +10. Okay, no, it's probably more like a +7. Oh, okay. I still have a whole nother onion to do, guys. This isn't Hot Ones. I didn't come here to suffer on stream too much. Ugh. If I was on Hot Ones, though, I'd be interested to know what kind of crazy questions Sean Evans would ask me, because he's a great interviewer. I promise we're going to get to the deep thought of the day, and we're going to talk about something important, but I got to get through the onions first, guys. Abby says, have you considered swim goggles? That's the next thing I need to add to the stream, is background music for moments just like this. I'm slowly upgrading week over week. So yeah, Callista, that would be perfect right about now. I'll tell you a story. When I was testing for my black belt, our black belt tests at our dojo were very, you've heard me tell this before, that they were very demanding. They take, if you're on your own, they can take at least 3 to 4 hours. I've heard of black belt tests going much longer than that, depending on how the person was or wasn't doing. And they're very, very physically taxing, very intense. You train for months to be able to get through that 3 to 5 hours, right? And, okay, we'll say 2.5 to 5 hours. It really depends on the person. It depends on what all's going on. But you train for a long time to make sure you're even ready to do it. And at the very end, you have to spar everyone, every single person that brought sparring gear that came to spar you. Now, they're not going to try to hurt you, but they are going to push you. Because at that point, you feel like you're breathing concrete. You just can't get enough oxygen. You feel like you're trying to walk through water while fighting somebody, and you're sweating through everything, and it's tough. But one of the coolest moments that I had while I was just getting pummeled, the guy I was sparring, his name is Ty, great guy, good friend of mine. He's a double black belt. He's a black belt in Kempo. He's also a black belt in Tian Shan Pai Kung Fu. Ugh! Oh my goodness. And I was actually the guy he demonstrated on for his Kung Fu black belt test, and I felt it for days. I was thrown on the hardwood floor and had so many throws and wrist locks done to me as his uke, as his like demonstration dummy, that I felt his test was a challenge for me, and I wasn't even the one testing. But Ty is so good that he was looking to go into the Olympics a couple of years ago. And the only reason he didn't was because he had a last-minute shoulder injury. So he's shooting to do it this next time around, is my understanding. All right, that's one onion finely chopped. All right, yes. Okay, I'm going to have to take a break after this one because I can't wipe my eyes. Oh, it got through. It got through into the goggles, guys. I gotta get it into the pot. I can't keep my eyes open for that long. I gotta close my eyes for a second. I'm sorry. Means I have to stop. It's so much onion. It's like filling up my pot. All right, hang on. Oh my goodness. They helped toward the beginning, but it just got more and more intense. Yes. This is what you came for, right? Are you not entertained? It's Gladiator. All right, we're going to do the damp. We're going to do the damp paper towel. We will overcome. All right. I haven't even looked at the chat. Close your eyes and keep cutting. My fingers are very important. I'm not going to do that. What's up, Zalika Diaz? Thanks for joining. Don't cry, Sam. They're just onions. I know, brother. I know. Abby says the idea that genetics play a role in sensitivity to onions because some people produce more tears than others implies that he cries a lot. Look, I'm telling you as an actor. Look, all right, we're going to do a dramatic scene here. Now that my eyes are all red from the onions, let me get some dramatic side lighting here. There were 15 of them. And then there were 13. You know the rest. I thought I could save them. But the onions came and I couldn't do it. I ran. Like a fool, like a coward, I ran. Because of the onions. And scene, right? Like if I just cut some onions before I have to do like a dramatic scene, my eyes will get red, I'll tear up, it'll be great. I wish I knew like a dramatic monologue off the top of my head. So I have to improv, but like one of my favorite things is dramatically presenting text that is not dramatic. So like a VeggieTales song, right? If you like to waltz with potatoes, if a squash can make you smile, if you like to dance with potatoes, up and down the produce aisle, have I got a show for you? You know, like, it's completely incongruous. It doesn't make any sense, which is why it's hilarious. There's a guy on TikTok who does this with lyrics. He does it as like a Victorian, like Shakespearean British. And he does like that Gnarls Barkley song, Crazy. I remember when I lost my mind. There was something so... What's the lyric? There was something so pleasant about that place. It's ridiculous. Why haven't I been in a movie yet? That's a great question. I would love to do some screen acting. I've done quite a bit of stage acting. Not quite a bit. I've done a fair amount of stage acting. I've done a little bit of voiceover. I would like to do more voiceover and voice acting. But screen acting and screenwriting and just kind of the whole screen process in general is something I want to do more of outside of like just music videos and pet projects and stuff. That's what it made me think of, Callista, the I love my lips thing. All right, I have recovered from the first onion. There's the first onion. We got to cut the second onion, guys. We're only halfway through. I got to put the reason I saw somebody ask why I didn't use a pool goggles. It's because the pool goggles look ridiculous. They do seal my face, but they give me like frog lips because they press down. And I'm sure I would not be nearly as entertaining to watch. Jacob says he already messed up the onions for real. I'm just supposed to have them finely chopped. What are you talking about? How did I mess up the onions? Did you really want to see the slap chop? I don't want to clean the slap chop. Oh, great. Another onion. I know, bro. I know. Okay, wait. I wonder... No, we're just going to send it. All right. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, dude. All right, here we go. Which, you know what? That's flat enough. I think I can just go from there. I don't think I really have to quarter it first. What was I telling? I was telling a story. Oh yeah, Callista made a crack about playing Warrior Spirit in the chat while I was getting pummeled by Ty, because Ty is a phenomenal fighter, phenomenal sparring partner, and he was just turning my head into a beanbag because I had nothing in the tank anyway. I was just trying to stay vertical. My friends on the sideline, the other people in the dojo, started singing that song. They started singing Warrior Spirit at me, which at the time was almost aggravating because it was loud and I was trying to focus, and because I knew I was doing horribly and I couldn't focus, which is the point. It's just the final crucible. That's the whole point. But like, it was also very encouraging because it was like, how sweet, dude, that they know that song well enough, that they knew the chorus of the song well enough to sing it at me. And it was kind of a meme, but it was also very nice. Okay, since it's taken a little while for me to get through these onions, I'm going to jump straight to the deep thought of the day. So I have a deep thought of the day for you, and it's a question, so I'm going to let you simmer on it while I chop these onions. How do you make God richer? I know that's a very spiritual question, but how do you make God richer? I'm not going to answer it immediately. And I know it sounds like a trick question, but there truly is an answer to it. Have you considered a food processor? That would require me purchasing that. And I just have not spent a lot of money on ingredients or like kitchen appliances recently. Sounds like a great idea. These onions are so big, dude. I don't even know if I need the full 2 of them for this soup. What's for dinner tonight, Sam? I'm making tomato soup. I read off the recipe at the top of the stream. It is a friend-submitted recipe from Abby. She sent it to me several weeks ago. And I was like, the reason I didn't make it last week was because I'm trying to make sure I keep up my protein intake for gym purposes. So I made something with chicken last time for that reason. And what I'm going to pair this soup with to keep that up is I have some ciabatta bread in my fridge, and I'm going to make fancy turkey sandwiches to go with this. Maybe not necessarily tonight, but when I'm eating it on the daily. It's just so much onion, dude. Put it in the pot and I don't think I'm going to use all of this. This is just nuts. This is a large amount of tomato soup. Or a large amount of onions. I like onions. I do. I don't like cutting them for the reasons that I'm sure you guys are very aware of, but it's like the only texture in it, so it's up to you. Well, hey, if you think it's better with more, then I will go toward more. I like French onion soup. I like it as a flavor. I have no objection to it. I've just never made tomato soup before in my life. So I don't know how much is too much. I don't know how much is an appropriate amount. But if you're saying send it, I'm going to send it. I trust you. Alice Cornett says, onions make me cry. The aroma through the nose and the eyes also affect. Never tried goggles. Have run cold water next to me while cutting. Okay, I'm going to do that because apparently that helps. I've heard that before. Whatever I got to do, I got to do. I've been wanting French onion soup, Abby says, but I haven't been able to find a place near me. I know Panera Bread used to have French onion soup. I don't know if they do anymore. Because I think you used to be able to get it in a bread bowl, right? I used to have a friend who worked at Panera. So I was a lot more familiar with their menu then than I am now. And I know it changes over time. Okay, so let's go to this deep thought of the day. How do you make God richer? Because arguably, God has everything, right? He created the universe, owns the cattle on 1,000 hills. Now, don't get it twisted. We've been made the bosses of this earth. We have something to do and to say here, but you can't do it with stuff. The way to make God richer is with people. It's the only way to make God richer that I know of is with people, to bring more people to Him, to bring more people to Jesus, to bring more people home. I remember I was listening to a minister one time. It might have been Jesse Duplantis, but I don't remember that for certain. And the Lord prompted this person, whoever it may have been. He said, when you look out at the city skyline, because they were in a big city, I guess, looking out over a bluff or from a tall building or something, what do you see? And so they answered very candidly, well, Lord, I see buildings, streets, street signs, shops, restaurants. And the Lord's reply was, okay, that's great. That's not what I see. I see the people. And I've thought about this a lot the last several years because this ties in with this subject. Like, what does it mean to glorify God? We use that term. I won't say it's a pet peeve of mine, but it's something I think about a lot, how Christians have very churchy language. For some reason, there's words that we don't translate out of the Bible. We just say the original Greek or Hebrew word, and we may not even know what it means. Or we have words that just kind of become buzzwords to us, like hallelujah, amen. People say amen to the dumbest things sometimes. Amen means so be it unto me. And they'll just say it whenever. Gospel. That's a Greek word, but a lot of people don't even know what the literal translation of the word is. Anointing. And I'm not a big fan of buzzwords. I understand that every culture is going to have its own lexicon. It's going to have its own language. And faith and faith community is no different. So I don't have a problem with that. Up and until we just start using phrases and terms without having any idea what they mean. And sometimes I kind of think glory is one of those words too, or glorify is one of those words too. It's very British. It's very Old English, right? As knights, vassals, warriors, fighters, conquerors would go out and do battle and win, conquer lands or defend lands, take property or defend property. They were bringing glory to their kingdom. They were bringing glory to their king or their squire or whatever. Just basically meant that it was good PR. They were making them look good. They were adding to their riches. They were bringing glory to their kingdom by adding to their riches, making them look good, beautifying them. So to glorify God, and this is reductive, there's more to it than this, but one of those things just means to make him look good. Well, Sam, that sounds really shallow. Kind of, but let the elevator go to the top. I think it's in the book of Corinthians, it's either 1st or 2nd Corinthians, I think it's 2 Corinthians chapter 5. It says, we've been given the ministry of reconciliation. In plain English, that means we have been given the job of helping other people get close to God again. So to glorify God, at least in part, means to make God look attractive, to show how good he is, in order that other people will want to come to him. So to glorify God is part of the process of helping him become richer because it brings other people to him. So to really break it down and explain it like a third grader, it's not even to make God attractive, it's to show how attractive the Lord is so that other people will want to get close to him. So while he has all the stuff, he doesn't need stuff. Stuff isn't going to do anything for him. It's people. People are, I would almost say, a limited resource because he wants all of them. That's the deep thought of the day. How do you make God richer? By bringing him more family, by adding to his family. Oh my goodness, I have so much to catch up with in the chat. The goggles are working this time, and possibly the cold water. So we're in good shape. Abby says, I found a French onion soup mac and cheese recipe, and I will be making it. That sounds great. I'll be in the live stream. I'll be in your live stream when that happens. Francisco asks if it's similar to a French onion dip. Abby said, kind of. I'm pretty sure French onion dip uses sour cream and French onion soup seasoning. So it would taste similar, but the broth, it's a broth with some cheese. Callista, I've had French onion soup and it's really good. Abby said, the mac and cheese does the same process to the onions and the same seasonings and cheeses, but they add noodles basically and a lot more cheese. That does sound good. Yeah. Okay, so I told you guys we're going to be doing a little bit of new stuff with the stream. Here's what we're going to do. Those of you who want to participate in this week's thumbnail competition, I'm going to give you 2 opportunities to get a freeze frame to use. And the first one is coming up here in a second. Once I get these onions in the pot, I'm going to just hit a pose with my pot. And then that way you can grab a screen grab and make a thumbnail. Now I will say sometimes the thumbnails that do better are the ones that have the name of the show in them. So you may want to prompt whatever AI or whatever you're using to say, let him cook somewhere in there to have that. And again, the theme is mad scientist, but the art style can be whatever you want. Just a second, I think... yeah, the theme can be whatever you want. So, I'm going to leave these goggles on. Maybe for the second one, I'll do goggles off. This is the first one. Okay. Are you ready? I'm going to hold this, and I'm going to laugh maniacally. I feel really strange holding that pose. I'm gonna try it again. We're gonna open mouth smile at this thing like that's a pot of something nefarious, right? Get ready. Okay, if you didn't get a screen grab, get one from somebody else, or wait until the next time. I'll probably do one more once it's actually full of red liquid. But you can prompt whatever you're using to have it, you can prompt whatever you're using to have it add stuff to the pot too. Okay, so, shoo! I probably have goggle marks on my face. I don't think I know how to screen grab, Francisco says. It depends. It depends what you're watching on. I know on iPhone, like if you hit the top volume button and your lock button at the same time, it will do a screen grab. On like a Mac computer, it's Shift Command 4, and then you can draw a marquee to cut out. So if you didn't catch it that time, get one from somebody else or get the next one. Okay, so dude, there's a ton of onions in here. Just so much onion that we had to conquer. And I've still managed to make something of a mess here. Very careful with where I put that knife. Try and get all these extras cleaned up as I go. The mess was sort of hilarious last time. All right. Okay, I said I was going to start doing some new stuff with the stream, so I'm going to go ahead and queue up the video of the week while I start starting to get these onions prepped with a bit of the butter. It's going to take about 10 minutes, so I'm jumping back to a vlog I made a couple of years ago when I was in Chicago with my friend Femi Ogebole. He's a guy I met in college. He was a saxophone player at the time, but he also plays, he was a clarinetist at the time, but he also plays the saxophone. And now he has a big show that he puts on every year, and he also tours doing what I believe is called the Praise Experience. And my goodness, I was one of like 2 lighter-skinned people in a room full of otherwise very African people, mostly Nigerians, and it was awesome. It was really cool. So the video of the day is this throwback vlog, and then in future weeks, we'll start going through some of those vlog series from my different travels and stuff like that. So those older ones, they aren't as good. They aren't edited as well. The audio isn't as good. I've learned a lot since then, but this one's pretty recent, so the formatting is pretty good. I'll check back in with you after this. Check out the video of the day. How did I end up in this room full of Africans in the middle of Chicago? It's story time. I feel like I should explain this video. This is one of several that I shot years ago, and then I just got busy and I never edited and uploaded them. And I wondered if I should even publish it, but a good story is a good story and I like to share, so throw it back with me to 2022. Today I'm recording some vocals for my friend Femi Ogebole. Sorry Femi, I've never actually heard your last name said out loud, so I think that's right. He's invited me to be part of this really cool event that he puts on called the Praise Experience in Chicago. It's a month from now in November, so I need to record some vocals to get ready for the studio recording so that then we can go do the live event next month. Blessed be your glorious name. Bless. I've never done like a gospel worship song recording before. And it's different than a pop song. It's different than like a studio worship song. It's different than a musical. I'm trying to balance the vocal style that they're looking for. And I've got to get all the lead vocals recorded for this. I am so finished for the day. I don't need to do any harmonies or doubles. They've got backup singers, which is gonna be really fun live. But man, I've been singing for hours. And I almost forgot to mention how thankful I am to be included in this. Femi and I went to college together, but it wasn't really like we hung out, at least not outside of class. He was one of, I think it was 3 Nigerian exchange students at my school. And I knew he was a good guy, I knew he was a great player, but ever since then, I followed him on Instagram, and you know, years later he started this event, and I saw that it was becoming, you know, legit. Big band, backup singers, really cool event right in Chicago. And he just got a hold of me seemingly out of the blue the other day to participate and to sing a song with the group and to record the vocals for it. So this is something different and exciting for me, and it's gonna be really cool, so I'm thankful for it.
Blessed be your glorious name. Blessed be.
It is 6:30 in the morning. Morning, Mom.
Good morning.
Which makes it 5:30 in the morning, Chicago time. We have a dress rehearsal in Chicago at noon, Chicago time. We're gonna head out. Mom's driving the first leg. I'll drive the second leg. It's the day after Thanksgiving. We made it to the church. Tech rehearsal was supposed to start at noon. We got here at 11. It's been pushed back to 1, so we've got about an hour and 15 until it starts. But we got our parking spot, so we're gonna see if we can get in there. Meanwhile, music video just came out. So this is what happens when you're out of town and your music video drops. When you're at a Burger King. I'm doing what any respectable artist does, and I'm updating my Instagram story. Just had the funniest thought. I was looking at the room here, and I thought to myself, man, this is cool. I'd like to play a concert here. And then it dawned on me, dude, that's what you're doing. I didn't write this music. I'm only singing one song, but still. That night we had some extra time, so I took Mom into downtown Chicago for a little while. Mom hasn't gotten to do a ton of traveling in her life, and even when I was growing up, we didn't really have the budget for things like vacations. So I enjoy getting to do things like this with her when I can.
You would not say any
buildings mixed in with the new. It's neat. I said, I've seen enough. Let's go.
We were this close to getting into Millennium Park, and then suddenly they started cordoning off all the entrances and funneling everybody to one or two entrances and security checkpointing them. I guess there's some kind of event going on. I don't know. We're gonna see what the alternate entrances are like, because the one we were at suddenly started to wrap around the block, so let's see what happens. I was just down in the lobby, and I get off the elevator, and Femi's standing there. And he's not even staying in the hotel, he just lives here in Chicago. So I was telling him how thankful I was that he included me, and how excellent his players were. I was kind of asking him how he made the connections that he had to put the band together. He's had this idea ever since we were in college together. I was like, man, well, I appreciate, how excellently this is all put together, because that's always been a thing for me. I was like, if you're going to do something especially and say you're doing it for the Lord, you want to try and do it to the highest level that you can. He's like, my mom was really big on that excellence. And I was like, my grandma. And it was just amazing to me. Yeah, my mother, she always was big on excellence. I was like, let me tell you a story.
Let's exercise for a moment. Would you get up on your feet? I just want you to test. Can you check? Are they working? If they're working, can you make some noise?
Praise Experience 2022. This is a great time. I'm so thankful that I was asked to come out and be a part of it. Talk more about it later. So I was in the back room. We enjoyed this church. We enjoyed the pastor. We enjoyed the music. And that, like, Bolaji, he was from Lagos, Nigeria, which makes sense because Femi is from Nigeria. Technically, I'm not white, but I've been told I'm white passing, whatever that means. But so you were one of 3 lighter skinned people in the room, maybe.
Yeah, but you guys were out of the room. You were back in the green room, and Anthony was back somewhere behind stage doing something. I think he was getting ready. Well, the MC started telling jokes, basically. And he was talking about going through the airport. And he said they were looking for some bad guy. And he said Nigerians were going to one side and all the Caucasian people were going to the other side. And he said, I went to the Caucasian side. He comes up to me and he says, right, we look the same, don't we? I said, of course we do.
It is 9:45 Chicago time, and the plan is to drive back to Cincinnati tonight. So let's see what time Google Maps has us getting back. We're looking at about 3:30 in the morning, home time. Probably with a stop or two, probably 4 a.m. So I'm gonna shut up and stop making this video. Until next time, I love you. Jesus loves you. Onward and upward. I'm about to drive through the night. Let's do this. 5:30. All right, we're back. So some people on Instagram were telling me that it says video of the week at the bottom of the screen, right? So I thought it would be pretty clear what was going on. But apparently that's covered up by the live chat on Instagram. So I'll move those graphics to the top of the screen so people don't pop in and get just confused when we do that. But I don't know. I think that's fun. I think it'll give us something to talk about, especially if it's a video of mine you've never seen before. Yeah. Yeah, so I think Femi still does the Praise Experience. He's based in the Chicago area. I heard from him a couple of months ago, actually. He had asked me to send him, I think he asked me to send him that video or something. He may have been working on promotions for the next one. And I remember that was like Thanksgiving weekend. So he does that particular, I mean, he does other events, or he's at least a part of other events, but that's the event he puts on, and he does it in the fall, from what I remember. Callista, how your mom said through the night. She did, but that song wasn't even a thought in my mind at the time that video was made. Noodleman is joining us on Instagram. My boy, he's been in Nathan Abney Music. He's been in Japan for the last week, and I've just been hearting his story over and over, living vicariously through him. Tell us about Japan, dude. I mean, obviously, I know I saw your post recently that it was your last night there, which means it's probably like midday for you right now, or morning. It's probably mid to late morning for you right now. Are you flying back out today? Francisco says it's also covered by the chat in YouTube, just so you know. Okay, so I have to stop putting text graphics at the bottom of the screen overlays. That's what I'm hearing. And I need to probably put them on the top. That's fine. I just have to redesign some of those graphics. Not a big deal. Not a big deal. Because I'm looking at it all on my computer screen. So if you're wondering where we're at in the recipe, I don't know if you can see the action here. Let me bring you over. Come with me, and you'll be in a world of caramelization. Caramelizing the onions. So for 10 to 12 minutes, I'm supposed to saute these onions in butter and let them kind of become translucent. I've got a timer running. I've got about a minute and a half left on it, but I think it's going to take a little longer than that, just because it took my pot a while to heat up. If you see me glancing over my shoulder, that's where my laptop is with the chat. I kind of like having the goggles, though, because I can strap the mic onto them. Once we sort of get toward the end here, the end of sauteing the onions, I'm going to have to add that minced garlic. I'm excited about this. I have never had... If I have had handmade tomato soup, it may have been in a restaurant or something. But every tomato soup I've ever known of, like in person that I was eating, was, you know, out of a can or something. So, this is a fun one. English is so weird, Francisco says. Sauté sounds like it should be spelled S-A-W-T-A-Y. So there's actually a movie that really helped me reconcile pronunciation and spelling in the English language. And it's a movie called Aquila and the Bee. It's about a little girl that participates in a spelling bee, and it's starring Keke Palmer, I think, when she was a little kid, and Lawrence Fishburne, Morpheus from The Matrix, is her tutor. And the way that he teaches her spelling is by associating the spelling of the word with the language of origin, so the original language it came from. Because the English language borrows so much from Greek, German, Spanish, so many languages that we borrow from. And in words that we don't even know it, that we do it, but we do. And so once he teaches her, if you can identify the language that this word originally came from, then the spelling makes sense. Because all the spelling rules we're told in elementary school are basically a lie, right? Because those rules get broken all the time. People used to say, I don't even know if people say this anymore, but people used to say like I before E except after C. Well, that's not always true. Or like words, why do words have a silent P at the beginning, like pterodactyl? So you have stuff from Latin, stuff from French, but once you can kind of start identifying the language of origin, then our spelling and our pronunciation starts to make sense. So sauté is actually a French word, and it just means jump. So technically I'm not actually sautéing this, because to sauté something is when you have it in the pan and you're shaking the pan in that kind of back and forth, slightly circular motion, and stuff jumps up out of the pan, getting coated in sauce and back into the high heat. That's sautéing because you're jumping the food in the pan. Technically that's not what I'm doing here, I'm just stirring it. So I misuse the phrase, if we're being completely honest. I guess Noodle Man was only able to jump in for a few minutes. I haven't seen a reply from him on Instagram. But again, I know he's flying back home from Japan soon. So we just, Lord, in the name of Jesus, we just speak protection over his flights. Easy flights, no delays, no losses of luggage, no turbulence in Jesus' name. Bring our boy home safely and in a timely fashion. And then, Nathan, I expect a full report on every single day of your Japan trip and a vlog if you can make that happen, because I will watch the heck out of that, dude. Abby says, also, if you don't get the onions fully translucent, it doesn't really matter. They soften more while it cooks. Soften? I just said the T in the word soften. Talking about pronunciation again. That one was weird. I feel like this is a great thumbnail because of all the steam coming out. Like, ah ha ha ha. We'll wait until I have the soup in here, though. So how has everybody else been? What have you guys been up to this week? I know a lot of my friends in Bible school right now are about to graduate. It kind of 'tis the season. We're coming up on May, so if you're in high school or college of any form, you're probably about to graduate too. How do you feel about that? Callista, you're a second year, right? You're about to graduate. Abby's like, I'm just doing school right now. I understand. I got my master's degree too. You're getting 2. You had to one-up me and get 2. But I'm glad you can hang while you do that. Okay, we need to add in our minced garlic, which is, I believe it's 1 tablespoon of that. This tablespoon is going to get a workout tonight. There's a lot of full tablespoons and half tablespoons of things. Abby says I have to keep the others humble. Well, I mean, okay. We're all trying to outdegree each other. But as I've said before, I'm so done with school, dude. I have done 3 degrees that are all very disparate. They are related to each other in the scope of my life, but on paper they don't seem very related. I have an associate's in biblical studies. I have a bachelor's in music. And I have a master's degree in business and communications. It was a combined course of MBA and comm courses. And there was some PR involved in that. I was in a PR class, but it wasn't like to the extent of like a PR degree. It kind of combined media processes and effects, marketing, and I did some accounting in there too, and that's what made me realize that I didn't want to be a full-fledged MBA. I got an A in accounting, I just didn't like it. Okay, we've pulverized these onions and this garlic pretty hard, which is great. I had to get them back for what they did to me. I think you mean humble. How could I forget? That's really hard to say. Oh, you guys. The inside jokes are going to continue piling up. All right, so we did a freeze frame for our thumbnail competition earlier, but if you're just joining the stream, we're going to do a second one. And remember, art style does not matter this week, but the theme is Mad Scientist. So I'll give you another opportunity once we've got some stuff in the pot aside from just these onions. So it's time to move on to our next step. We need to add the crushed tomatoes with their juice and the chicken stock, the chopped basil, the sugar, and black pepper. So basically we add everything except the heavy cream and the Parmesan in this next step. Okay, I'm going to remove this from the heat for just a moment because we're going to have to get these cans open. I did some ingredient prep over here. As you can see, everything is beautifully laid out. But I don't have my cans open yet, so give me a moment. I'm going to tell you something about knife safety. If you're ever walking with a knife, you turn it backwards. It's not so that you look like a slasher killer. It's so that if you walk around a corner or someone comes up on you suddenly, the handle is what pokes them by accident and not the blade. And keep it this way. Also, if you're a martial arts nerd like me and you've done any like Filipino knife fighting, you can use it to trap with. But technically, in a self-defense situation, if you're going to use a knife, you want to keep it straight. That's a lot more effective than this position. There's uses for this of weapon trapping, but this is much more, you can put your thumb on the back to kind of guide the blade, and you have more control. So that's the martial arts nerd fact of the day. Callista says, this week is full of emotion and excitement. So you are a second year, right? Like you are graduating. Is that correct? Yeah, no, it's correct because you were in school with me last year when you were a first year. I know this. Sorry, I shouldn't ask you silly questions I know the answer to. Callista says, I finally got my mission statement. Yeah, the mission statements are interesting, right? You have to have a what, a who, and a why, basically. Those 3 elements. What are you called? What are you created to do? Who for? And what is the purpose of that, if I remember correctly? Now, I know my mission statement, okay? I know it. It's to inspire, empower, teach, and lead creators and partakers to live life as God intended through boundless creative excellence. That was mine. Francisco says, and I'm graduating from high school next month. Congratulations, dude. I would ask what's next for you, but I'm pretty sure I know because I think I saw you in like a Campus Days video just recently. Okay. We have our crushed tomatoes ready. Now, Abby, about this recipe, because this came from you, did you create this recipe? Did you find this recipe online somewhere? Did you find it and then modify it for yourself? Where did this come from? You know what? Yeah. Get that mixed together and then drop in that next can. This is going to be so much soup, guys. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I definitely think the next thing we need to add to the stream is potentially some background music. But I'll have to be careful, right? Because that can get your stream muted really quick if it's copyrighted music. Even my own music is copyrighted, but I'll get like a copyright strike on YouTube when I use it. Not a strike, excuse me. Not a strike. I'll get a copyright flag on YouTube when I use it, which is a good thing. It means that the video is being monetized by my distributor or the record label, and that just helps. It actually helps me get paid for my own videos. So it's not a bad thing, but it's just sort of, it's a funny thing. It's a silly dynamic. Abby says, my mission statement left my brain immediately after graduation. Then Dr. T asked me during a meeting, and I think I made one up. Did you make up a good one? That's hilarious. Abby said, I found this recipe and then modified it. Sarah Smith Clodfelter in the Instagram chat with a mission statement for Let Him Cook. All right, let's see how she did. Let Him Cook is to entertain those who want to roast Sam live for the greater good. Something like that. That's good. Francisco says, I thought you were supposed to memorize your mission statement for life. Yes, but I've also changed it slightly since then, says Abby. Well, so have I. My mission statement, I've only changed it by like 2 words. It was originally to inspire, empower, and teach. I think were my original first verbs, right? To inspire, empower, and teach creators and partakers to live life as God intended through boundless creative excellence. And then I added to inspire, empower, teach, and lead. I've often in my life found myself in, I don't think I'm supposed to lead at everything I do. A good leader also is a good follower. When I was in charge of some projects, when I was still in high school, I was in charge of like an outreach band, and I did my best to exercise that authority. And sometimes I did okay at that, and sometimes I didn't. But one of the things that it taught me was that when you have people that aren't cooperative following you, or saying they're following you, but really they're just being wily and wanting to do their own thing, leadership sucks. When you have people that really don't want to be there, who just want to roast, I mean, you can roast me all you want on the stream, this is for fun, but like people who are supposed to be on your team, especially when you're trying to do something important, something substantive, and they just kind of want to make fun of you behind your back, or they want to do their own thing, or they have a way that they would rather do it, or they don't prepare. They don't actually put the work in like you are. Then it becomes like the worst group project you've ever done. Leadership does. So because of that, like once you've been in a leadership position, it should at least make you a better follower. Because then you recognize like, hey, here's one of the biggest problems that comes up in leadership situations is when there are multiple ways to do something, when there's multiple ways to accomplish a task. And they will all work. They will all be effective. And when you're the leader, you've chosen the one that you believe is the most effective, or you think can be the most effective with the team you have, even if it's not the best one on paper. When you're the follower, you have to recognize that even if you have a plan that you think is better than that of the leader, it doesn't matter. Because the plan will most definitely fail if you go off on your own and try to do it your own way, do your own thing. You will sabotage that leader's plan. You will make them look bad even though it is your fault. And then you create a situation in which some people try to create situations in which they sabotage a leader's plan in order to make the leader look bad so that they can then become the leader later on. And really the only reason the person who came before them failed wasn't because they were a bad leader, it was because of you and your sabotage and your insubordination. I don't have a lot of respect or time for that, so I talk about it very seriously, even though most of the time I just joke around on here. So when you've been in that position, when you become a follower, you realize, okay, I might have a better idea of how to do this than the leader. But my role is to make sure that their shot at this is as effective as it can be. And maybe there's a two-way street for feedback and dialogue. And I can say, hey, like, let me raise my hand. I actually think there's a better way to do this. And they might adopt your idea, and they might not. If not, it doesn't matter. Shut up and do your job. It's one of the most important leadership lessons I learned was how to be a good follower through the lens of being a leader when things got rough. And if you want a really good, like, milieu in which to practice this, play video games with your friends. Like, do something that is low stakes, but is still, like, high engagement. Play a cooperative board game. Play a cooperative video game. Play a cooperative competitive sport. Like, whatever. It's because it's not that deep. Like, if you lose the sport, if you lose the video game, if you lose the board game, it doesn't matter. It will not change your life. But what it will do is it will expose things about your personality to you that you didn't even know about, and then force you to have to work them out. That's why it's useful. It's not because it's like world ending if you win or lose. It's because of like what you learn about yourself in the process. Okay, now we've added our crushed tomatoes. We need to get our chicken stock in here, which, how much of this stuff am I supposed to use? 2 cups. That's a lot of chicken stock, dude. This pot is going to be so full. Can anybody tell me the difference between chicken stock and chicken broth? Because I had chicken broth in my fridge already, but I got chicken stock to be safe. Does anybody know technically what the difference is? Anybody else want to do some ChatGPT or Google Kung Fu for me? One more thing that I will add about my my comments or tirade on leadership, however you want to look at it, that just happened. If you're the type of person who tries to sabotage a leader in order to make them look bad so that hopefully you can have their job later on, just wait. Because you're planting seeds that if you don't uproot them, you're going to have somebody do the same thing to you. It's going to come back around, dude. Okay, I've got to go back and reread the chat here. If you're coming to the graduation, come see mine on the big screen. Your mission statement. All right. Abby says, I think mine is to enhance the health of individuals' spirit, soul, and body by teaching them God's grace. I love that. That's very holistic. And I think that is it because I saw yours. You posted it once. And that sounds pretty close to what I remember. I like that one. Abby says, shut up and do your job. Well, let's put that on a t-shirt. Shut up and do your job. I'm surprised you put it back in the fridge after your chicken broth grew an organ last time. I since learned that actually there was nothing wrong with it. It was just like a fat deposit that had solidified and become like a little gelatinous dude because it was in the fridge. So it actually, all I would have had to do is shake it up. It would have reabsorbed, but I didn't know. I didn't want to chance it. Sarah says, yes, play video games with your friends. Sarah, it doesn't matter. Yeah, that you put the emphasis on the right syllable. Thank you. Okay, that's our chicken stock has been added. Seriously, does anybody know the difference between chicken broth and chicken stock? We need to add our chopped basil. Abby, so you stalk me. You realize we both have public internet profiles, right? Like, I see the things you post, you see the things I post. I've seen your mission statement before. And, like, we all look at everybody's mission statements when we graduate, too. Wait, should I take this whole thing off? How much is this? How much do I need? I need... Turn that heat down. A 1/4 cup of chopped basil or a 1/8 cup lightly dried basil. Why'd you have to give it to me in cups, dude? 1/8 of a cup? Okay, this is a 1/4 cup. I'm just going to generally try to fill this thing up halfway. I'm not too picky. It's not like I have a problem with basil. If there's a little extra, so be it. Oh, that looks beautiful. That's such a great combination of color. Look, chat, look at this. Look at how pretty that looks. Okay, I think this is a perfect opportunity for our second thumbnail, right? Remember that the theme for this week is mad scientist, okay? Doesn't matter what art style you choose, that's up to you. All right, here we go. I'm gonna hit the pose, get the goggles on, get a little maniacal grin on my face. Oh, I gotta tighten these up, dude. Okay, are you ready with your screenshots? All right, sweet. Hopefully you got it. So, just remember, you can DM those to me on Instagram, and we'll do a public poll on my Instagram story, and whoever wins the poll will have the thumbnail for Let Him Cook, for this episode of Let Him Cook. Last week's winner was JL Cloudfelter with a really sweet, like 90s fight anime inspired one. That one was fun. Okay, so chopped basil. We got to add our sugar, which is, keep having to go back to the top to see how much of these things I need to use. A tablespoon of sugar added to taste. Well, am I adding it to taste or am I doing a tablespoon, dude? That sugar is not opened. Here's the problem, guys. My sugar is up here in the tiny cabinet above the fridge. Okay. Abby just texted me, taste it. Sarah Ursi says, Jesus loves you. Yes, he does. Jesus loves you too. Only add sugar if you need it, she says. Taste it, taste it. Taste the soup first. Sam. I'm not going to read the one that came before that because that was a typo. Okay, I'll taste it. I will not add the sugar yet. She's texting me like violently in all caps. Like, don't you add that sugar, Samuel Day. Don't you blame that. Don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby. Okay, I will wait. I will wait on the sugar. Let me just hit you with a little thumbs up emoji so you know I got the message. Or 1 tablespoon of sugar or added to taste. Don't call me mule. Okay. But I still have to add other things. I need to add the black pepper. How much black pepper do I add? A 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper. 1/2 TSP. That's just a little bit. I'm gonna grab my. Oh. That is so little black pepper for this giant pot of soup. But it says a 1/2 tablespoon or 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper. Have you ever misread your recipe and it said teaspoon and you thought it said tablespoon and you messed up a whole recipe? I think I've done that once. Try to never do it again. Add that to taste too, I guess. She has to... Okay, that seems fine. We're going to add that in. Let's stir it. We haven't stirred in... Literally, okay, she's texting me in real time. Literally season to taste. Well, look, if you want me to season to taste, then this is going to be awesome. Because I'll just add stuff, dude. I'll add paprika. I'll add a little bit of garlic powder. I'll add... What else do I got? I bet curry powder would be good in it, but it wouldn't be authentic tomato soup with curry powder. It would start gaming toward curry at that point. So I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I bet it would taste good though. I can probably, here's what I'll do. I'll add curry powder to like a bowl of it, a single bowl of it later on when I'm eating. And I'll report back on my Instagram story or something. Francisco says, copy and pasted from Google, chicken stock is meant for cooking while chicken broth is often sipped or used in soups. Huh, there is a difference. Well, it's a good thing I got some chicken stock and didn't just use the chicken broth. Sarah Smith Cloudfelter on Instagram says, chicken stock sounds like a low-risk index food. I don't know what that means. I feel like I've heard the term before. What does low-risk index mean? Help me out with that. By the way, if you're new here, go check out my music. Go follow me on Spotify or Apple Music or Instagram or YouTube to catch new music, and not just music, but all kinds of other stuff coming out. I'm going to go ahead and put that link in the chat. Periodically. So give me just a moment to drop this little promo link in here. I know it's riveting watching me just use my computer. But I don't know what a low risk index food is. You have to explain that to me. Okay. So now that we've sort of stirred these ingredients together, I need to grab a little tasting spoon. It says, okay, I need to bring this to a boil, which I haven't actually done yet. I need to bring it to a boil first, and then reduce the heat and partially cover with a lid and simmer for 10 minutes. So, I'm going to heat it up and then do exactly what the instructions said, and then we'll see if it needs the sugar or not. I have the sneaking suspicion that it won't. Need the sugar. The tomatoes are pretty sweet. I can smell that the tomatoes are pretty sweet as it is. Callista said, I listened to You Were Always Good when I needed some encouragement, and it really helped. That's lovely. It's one of the greatest things that an artist can hear, is that their music brought encouragement and inspiration to somebody else. Inspiration, empowerment, love it. Just trying to let this heat all the way up before we bring it down and partially covered. Low risk index fund, like an IRA investment account. Okay, my financial guru friend. I thought that was like an actual food safety term. I was like, is that like an FDA thing? What does that mean? After the stream is over, we're all just going to comment bomb the Dave Ramsey show together. Like an IRA investment account. JL Cloudfilter says, okay, I'm here to roast Sam. What did I miss? Well, you missed both opportunities. Okay. I'm trying to give people opportunities to grab screen grabs for the thumbnail competition for this week. But since you just now came back, let me just set you up one more. So I'll say it one more time. The theme for this week's thumbnail is Mad Scientist. The art style does not matter. It doesn't have to be anime. It can be any art style that you want. It can be a Monet painting. It can be a Christopher Nolan cinematic movie poster. It doesn't matter, but the theme is Mad Scientist. So I'm going to put these goggles on. Let me hit the pose for you for the screen grab. One last time. Oh, it's starting to pop. It's popping. It's starting to boil. Turn that heat down so I don't make a mess. All right, here we go. There's my pose. You better grab it. Cool. All right. Back to business. Okay, so I need to bring that heat down, partially cover this for about 10 minutes. Smells great, though. Smells great. And we haven't even added the whipping cream or the cheese yet. Now, the recipe calls for freshly grated Parmesan cheese. I got a can of Parmesan cheese. I didn't freshly grate anything today. I've been working all day, kids. Freshly grate anything. Okay, we're going to partially cover that, so just kind of like that. Let's double check, make sure I didn't miss anything. Pay close attention to the recipe. So we let that simmer for about 10 minutes. Okay, hey Siri, set a timer for 10 minutes. Hey Siri, set a timer for 10 minutes.
10 minutes, counting down.
There we go. All right, while we wait on that, I'm going to make a boba tea. Abby says the Monet just unlocked so many ideas. You will be receiving a Van Gogh as well. I love some like Van Gogh pointillism, you know? Mad Scientist in the style of Van Gogh. I'm gonna vote for that one. I love that. Abby, he's following the recipe pretty well. He does stalk me though, because I've read your mission statement. Okay. Hey, first of all, I'm not gonna lie to you. I am a lot like you when it comes to like looking up information about people. Not in like a creepy, like abusive way, but I was always fascinated with like Sherlock Holmes or Jason Bourne growing up. These characters that were very detail oriented and could like piece together a story intuitively or quickly. And so I always think it's fascinating when like you can kind of take a look at a picture and be like, oh, there's a street sign behind them, and you can see the corner, and there's an AutoZone. You know, they must be at this place at this time. I don't do anything with that information. I just think it's interesting. Okay, I'm going to make a boba tea, which is not going to be a very involved situation because I have my passion fruit green tea that I just freshly brewed yesterday. I need to order some more boba, some more crystal boba though. I'm almost out. I order it in bulk now. I get it in big bags. Where's it at? There it is. Oh, I don't even need to brew one. I had one ready. Or sorry, I don't even need to pour one. I had one already poured out. I've been keeping jars recently because sometimes my friends will ask me if I can bring them one. And I love to do that. I love to do that for my friends. But that means I need glass jars with lids so that I can put a lid on it and transport it to a friend, bring it to church or whatever. I am going to have to use this tablespoon though, so it needs to be rinsed first because there's garlic on it and that doesn't belong in the tea. Abby says, I can find long-lost siblings if someone wanted me to. I mean, here's the thing. Pretty much everybody has the same tools now. Unless you do something shady, then technically I guess you would have more. I'm not endorsing that. Don't do that. But everybody pretty much has the same tools at this point, and they're very powerful tools. I watched a documentary once on the history of spycraft. And especially from like the Cold War, World War II, microphones hidden in the heels of shoes, and just all of these elaborate things they used to have to do to surveil. But now, like, probably almost spies really need on a day-to-day basis is like their phones, some earbuds, and like an air tag. I don't need to go down that logical rabbit hole too far, because people will abuse that information and use it for the wrong things. But the tech that everybody has access to now, from what I understand, has sort of changed the way even spies do their job because it's so ubiquitous. All right, there we go. A little passion fruit green tea with crystal boba. Oh my gosh, that's so good. I haven't eaten a lot today. I had a late breakfast, and I think I'm kind of dehydrated, so I'm excited to eat. Okay, while we're waiting on that, I'm going to clean up a couple of things here, make my life a little bit easier later. So, for those of you who cook kind of semi-regularly, what's your favorite thing to make? Or, what's the thing you're best at? Like, maybe you don't like making it because it's hard, but it's the biggest crowd pleaser. What's the thing you're best at making? I don't really know what my answer to that would be. You guys, we made Japanese curry a couple of weeks ago when I was in Ohio. You guys were there for that. That might be one of like the tastiest things I can make. It takes some time, but the recipe is easy. It just takes prep work. Kind of like this one. It just takes prep work. I'm not going to rinse that yet. I don't know if I still need it. Might need it again. You ever do that? You ever rinse off or wash a utensil thinking you're finished with it during a recipe, trying to save time, and then you got to get it back out and wash it again because you didn't realize you were going to need it again moments later? I've done that. Pepperidge Farm remembers. Callista says popcorn. I'm the popcorn maker for movie nights. Okay. I mean, do you make it like old school style? Like in a pan with a lid, or in like a popcorn maker? When I was a kid, my mom used to have this popcorn maker. And it was like a hot plate with a big yellow plastic dome that you put over the top. And it had a metal rod that rotated. And so you put oil down. I never used it. I was never old enough to use it. I was a literal child, but you would put oil down on it, and you'd put your popcorn on there, and then you put the top on, and it would heat up, and that thing would rotate to keep the kernels moving, so that they wouldn't like burn and stick to the plate on one side, and it would pop. It was really cool. I wonder if I could probably find one of those again. How do you do yours? Like, how do you make yours? So I'll give you one of my favorite things to do with popcorn, even if it's just microwave popcorn, even if it's just like Orville Redenbacher's, you stuck it in the microwave. Into the bag, you drizzle honey and some cinnamon, and you shake it up. I'm telling you. It's wonderful. And it almost tastes a little bit like Cheerios because of the popcorn is corn. It's not a nut, but that sort of honey nut thing starts coming out of it. It's great. It's very pleasant. Abby says steak. That's cool. I think we've talked about that before. I think you've mentioned that before. JL Cloudfelter says, brother, check your messages. So those of you who managed to get a thumbnail submission in before the stream is over. We'll do the same thing we did last time. I'll sit down, I'll have a few bites of what I made to eat, and we'll preview those thumbnails together on stream. Checking my messages right now. Ha ha! Okay, so we've got one. So Jacob just sent me one that is very much giving Frankenstein and Frankenstein's monster. Very like German Gothic. Yeah, dude. But that came over text. I guess he said that Facebook messed it up. Oh, Sarah did one. Okay, Sarah's is kind of giving like Beekman's World. I'll look at these together with you in just a moment. Looks like Abby sent one through. Abby's 100% giving Beekman's World with the hair. Oh, you guys are going to love these. They're all so different from each other. Thank you. Thank you for the participation. That's beautiful. Again, if there's anybody else that wants to participate, you can just send that to me in the Instagram DMs, and I will be sure to check those before the stream is over. I'm kind of taking a look right now to make sure I didn't miss anything. All right, cool. Abby says that sounds like it would be really sticky. It is. It's very sticky, but it's very pleasant. Your fingers will be sticky. Honestly, I've eaten it with a spoon before. I just kind of stuck a spoon in the bag. Don't judge me. I was alone. Nobody was around. And well, you can pour it into like a serving bowl too. And then it's just like adult cereal, I guess. Callista says we have a popcorn maker, so we just pour kernels in and it pops, and then I spray popcorn butter spray and pour white cheddar seasoning. All right, that's legit. I respect that. Callista says mine sucked last time. I don't want to. I thought yours was really good, Callista. Like it got some votes. The hand. Okay, don't feel bad about the hand thing. So traditionally, AI image generation has gotten a lot better in the last 6 months. But in the very beginning of it, it was always bad at teeth. It would always give you too many teeth, or the teeth wouldn't stay the same. And hands. It was terrible at hands. Go upstairs at school and look at that graphic of the dog. You know the one I'm talking about, the stand-up one. Count his fingers on his left hand versus his right hand. I noticed. I told a few people. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to be very nondescript about that. Francisco says, I can't send it through Insta, so I'm going to send it to you directly. That's fine, man. Send it to me directly. I'll airdrop those all to my computer when I sit down. I'll pull them up on the stream, and we'll have a laugh together. JL says, honestly, I want to try that tonight. Did you say kettle corn or popcorn? You can do it with anything. But because like I'm a basic boy with popcorn right now, I don't even have any at the moment. But I just have like microwave buttered popcorn. And then when it's over, I'll put it in a big serving bowl that I can put a lid on. You drizzle honey over the top and sprinkle some cinnamon. And then you mix it up so you get good. You have to do that a few times. You do a little bit, mix it, a little bit more, and mix it so that you get like an even coverage. It's wonderful. And you and I both have a similar affinity for cinnamon, so I think you'll dig it. Callista says, okay, I will tomorrow. That's fine. Abby says, Jason made that for funsies one day. I was there. Jason made what for fun? What are we talking about? All right, my 10-minute timer just went off. So that means it's time to add the heavy cream and the cheese. Ooh, Francisco just sent me one. Okay, so Francisco's is kind of giving like a Studio Ghibli classic anime look. And these are all so different from each other stylistically. I love it. We'll look at those in just a moment. We're almost finished with the recipe, and then I'll get them pulled up. Okay, so now we need to add our heavy whipping cream and our Parmesan cheese, and then taste to see if the sugar even needs to be added. So a half a cup of heavy whipping cream. Get my half cup right there? That's my quarter cup. My half cup out. I love having metal measuring cups because it means I can just throw them in the dishwasher. Dishwashers are from God. Dude, dishwashers they are of the Lord. Turn this down. Half cup of heavy cream. There it is. And a third cup of freshly grated Parmesan cheese. Which, especially with the Parmesan cheese, I can be approximate, I'm sure. You're not going to mess it up. Francisco says, am I the only one who used Meta AI? I don't know. I didn't ask what tools people used, and I don't care if people use AI for this because it's just silly. It's just for fun. So you can use whatever tool you want. All right. Half a cup. I feel like I could make latte art, you know? Oh, that looks awesome. I feel so authentic right now. Makes me want garlic toast. I don't have any garlic toast, but I bet it would go great with this. Like a fancy grilled cheese sandwich. Like some kind of fancy cheese on like a French brioche. Lightly coated in garlic and fried on either side in a pan. Yeah, dude. Okay. There's our... I splattered. I just cleaned my stovetop earlier today. And next is the Parmesan cheese, which I have right here. And we need, I think we said a third of a cup, right? Third of a cup fresh. This is not freshly grated. This is great value Parmesan cheese. But whatever, it's gonna work just fine. It's freshly opened. I just broke the seal on it, so good enough, right? A third of a cup. Hey, that's a third of a cup. I'm just gonna measure it out over this, because if there's an oops extra cheese moment here, I'm not going to care. It's like when you're at Olive Garden and they're grating that cheese in front of you and they're waiting for you to say when, and you just stare them right in the face and you're like, did I say to stop? There we go. A heaping third. Stir as I pour this in. Got to make sure I don't stir too vigorously because the heat is still kind of popping some bubbles here. And I really don't want to get my stovetop super dirty again. I'm going to get this thoroughly mixed in. Hopefully you guys can see this. There we go. You need to be able to... It's a cooking show, right? You need to be able to see the cooking. Okay, it smells great. Like, these other ingredients have definitely helped temper the sweetness of the tomatoes. And the kind of the really matter-of-factness of the tomatoes I was inhaling earlier. Oh, Callista sent me one. Okay, so Callista sent me one that's more of like a photo real one. But there's so many nice details in this. There's so many little Easter eggs in this. Okay, this is going to be great. We're going to have a great time looking at these. Okay, it's time to taste it. I'm going to grab a separate spoon to do so I don't cross-contaminate, because who knows? I might be able to share some of this with my friends. So, there it is. Looks wonderful. Definitely hot. I can see the steam, so... It's definitely tangy. There's nothing wrong with that. That's really good. I don't think it really needs any sugar at all. I'm going to give it a teensy bit just to add some dimension, but definitely not the amount that was recommended, the half tablespoon or whatever. I might put like a half teaspoon in there. It's chunky. I didn't get the onions super minced, as you saw, but I like the chunkiness of it. I saw in the recipe you can use a food processor to really thin it out, but I like food with texture. So I don't feel the need to make this a lifeless puree. It feels good with the character that it has. Abby in the chat, probably just before I took that bite. If he hates it, he made it. No, this is really good. Thank you for this recipe. This is great. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna add a very conservative amount of sugar here. And so I'm not gonna pour that out over the pot because I don't want to ruin this. Pour it out over the sink and just a half teaspoon. Enough that it probably won't even do anything because I don't want to mess this up. It actually is very good as is. There we go, just a little. Just a little. Callista, he likes it, Abby. It's like Abby's in the corner with like her hands over her eyes. Somebody tell me when it's over. Here we go. We just sprinkle that over the top. Stir that in. Oh my goodness. This is great. See, so many of the recipes that I've been making so far have been like Indian or Asian inspired. And this is the first, I guess tomato soup is Italian. This is the first really Italian thing. But I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to go back to just like, I don't buy tomato soup. I can't tell you the last time I purposely ordered or bought tomato soup. I was never really a fan, but I had it. But I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to go back to like, just tomato soup out of a can after this. This is great, dude. I feel so fancy. I can hear the music in my head. And I'm not even going to lie. I bet this would be good over spaghetti noodles. I'm not going to do it. But I bet it would be great. Okay, let's give the recipe the once-over one more time to make sure I didn't miss anything. And then, Francisco just sent me a final version of his thumbnail. And then sit down, have some soup, and my little boba tea over here, and look at some thumbnails together. Abby says he likes it because I made the recipe. It's your PR, all of your PR knowledge coming to the fore right there. Season to taste with salt and pepper if needed and turn off the heat. If it's too acidic or tangy, add more sugar or heavy cream. It is pretty tangy, but I kind of like that about it. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to add a touch more of the heavy cream, just a touch. There we go. And just to offset that. And I don't believe I added any salt. So I was commenting earlier about how little pepper it was using, so I'm going to add some more pepper because it's, it's a very harmless spice. I put more pepper, I put as much pepper on my eggs in the morning as I did in the soup, so I'm going to add some more. And just a little bit. It probably doesn't really need salt. So just a little bit of salt to bring out the flavor. And this is a big pot of soup, so really that's going to diffuse pretty seamlessly. So just a little bit of those things. And I think we're finished, guys. It's going to be time for thumbnail review. And just hang out a little bit before we call it a night. Callista, you don't have to, I send the occasional noise text. You don't have to correct that spelling. You spelled it right the first time. Okay. Look at this. Would you just look at it? This is lovely. That's beautiful. Okay. Let's get it into a bowl. Let's get my ladle here. Flip on the light over in our seating area. And by seating area, I mean the tiny little table in the corner by the mountain bike and the recycle bin. But you don't need to know that. Close up a couple things. Get those things ready to be washed later. Throw a couple things back in the fridge while I'm thinking about it. and then we'll chill. Guys, thank you so much for joining me for another episode and hangout of Let Him Cook. It's not over yet. We're still going to hang out and chat and look at these thumbnails, but I am grateful that everybody, hangs out with me while I cook alone in my apartment, talking about music, talking about life, movies, the Lord, all of the things. All right. And I'm going to grab that lid again. And just have it ready over to the side to gently put over the top. Like I said, this would slap with some garlic bread or some breadsticks or something, but it's going to be great as is. Now the rest of the week, I'm planning to eat this with some protein of some kind. Some of my fancy turkey sandwiches, where I'll take ciabatta bread and turkey with some red pepper hummus and Kalamata olives. Basically all the stuff I've been putting in my Mediterranean bowls, I essentially make it into sandwich form on a ciabatta roll with some turkey. So that will go really well with this, but I was working up until the very last minute before the stream started tonight, so I didn't have time to prep all that. Okay. Put the lid on that so that it doesn't, I really don't want it to reduce and get crusty, Put a lid on it. All right. Got my bowl of soup. Come on over here. I'll grab the computer. We're gonna look at some thumbnails. I guess I'm gonna need to decorate this area next so that it's presentable for stream. So I'll go ahead and airdrop all of these to my computer. Abby just lightly roasting me in a text message. I was working until the stream started, sent me a reel. I'm very good at multitasking. Okay, let me tell you what I did today. I did work for my day job for a good chunk of the day. Then I did a test mix for a music client. Then I did some final work on a music video for a mutual friend of ours. And I also, I think I was reviewing some other files or something I was consulting with Jacob about a visual project that he's working on that I can't really talk about right now. Oh my gosh. I just got the DaVinci one. These, you guys get better every week. Okay, I have to, let me make sure I get the ones from everybody. Got a couple from Abby. Got the final from Francisco. I have the final from Jacob. Okay, here's the final from Jacob. And then there was one from Sarah too, right? They're all coming through different avenues, so I just got to make sure I get them all. Okay, I have two from Abby, I have one from Francisco, one from Callista, one from Jacob, and one from Sarah. Let me know if I missed you, but I think that's all of them. So I'm just going to airdrop them to my computer, and we'll get them pulled up on stream. So I have five contenders total this week. All right, pull those over, open those up in a preview window. Oh gosh, guys, these are so good. The goggles. I have to stop laughing at this because we need to react to this in real time together. All right. So we just got to go in here to my streaming software and add a media source. Or it's a window capture. Media source. Nope. How did I do this last time? Mac OS screen capture. Oh, okay, here we go. Application. is going to be preview. I got it. All right, here we go. It's coming. Just got to downsize it. Yes. Yes. Okay, hang on. It's so big and I have so little screen real estate to work with here, guys. I'm sorry. Really and truly, I need a second screen for this live stream, as involved as it has become. Okay, almost. I got to keep resizing it off to the side until I can pull it in. Okay, that's pretty good. So there's our first one from Abby. This is this Van Gogh? No, this isn't Van Gogh. This would be like Da Vinci or Monet. This looks very... Yeah, Da Vinci. Okay. I should have known by looking at it at the style, but sometimes I get my Renaissance painters mixed up. I'm going to eat this soup. Oh my goodness. Wow, that is so hot. Ugh. That's too hot. That's too hot. All right. I'm going to let that cool off for a second. Excuse me. I'm going to put my mic down so you don't hear me slurping all night. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. So there's our first one. It is a sight to behold. Yeah, please excuse the slurping. My goodness. Oh, I burned my tongue a little bit. Next one from Francisco. This one's so charming. Okay, well, let's do some commentary first. Here's the things I love about this. I love the deep, dark, dramatic contrast happening here. For some reason, it kind of like gave me like a tight afro, yet made me very white otherwise. So there's a lot to unpack there. We won't comment on that. I love that I am just carelessly dumping my soup out next to my... This says, you can see it's tomato soup, but then I also have vials of like an unknown red liquid and like a mortar and pestle over here. That's wonderful. And then apparently I'm chopping tomatoes on a book. And don't nobody care about what's in this book. I need to chop some tomatoes. I love the font and the sort of like mosaic crackly tiles we're getting for the background. Just, there's so much to enjoy here. It seems pseudo-religious with like whatever sort of garb I'm wearing, and the goggles. Oh my gosh, the goggles. The very out of place, like for the time period steampunk goggles. It's wonderful. Love that. All right. Next up we have from Francisco. Instead of let him cook, it says mad scientist. But notice that this is, if you know the Studio Ghibli art style, this is very Studio Ghibli. The artist, the production studio headed by Hayao Miyazaki, famous for like Howl's Moving Castle and The Wind Rises and Castle in the Sky, movies like that. Great goggles. They're giving more like aeronaut vibe in this one. I love how accurate to the kitchen this one is. You can even see like my basil in the pot here. And you can tell it did a very good job of replicating my hands, but you can kind of see that it did struggle with my crazy fingers. I also love that I'm wearing a hakama. If you don't know what a hakama is, it's these traditional Japanese pants that are typically worn for martial arts. We would wear them. I never had a set myself, but some of the folks would wear them in an Aikijitsu class I was in back in the day. And you had to be a certain rank before you were allowed to wear them because they were like sort of reminiscent of the samurai. So definite Studio Ghibli vibes with this one. This one is this the one from, I think this is the one from Sarah. Yeah, this is the one from Sarah. So this reminds me of like a 1990s graphic from like a theme park. You know what I mean? Like if you had a themed roller coaster or like a thrill ride that was like, come in here to the Mad Scientist ride. Can you take it? Do you dare? Strap in. Must be this tall to ride. You know what I mean? One of the things I'm loving about these though is how many times there's like a very a very obviously labeled ingredient. Like over here we have chicken stock. Big green, like toxic looking vial, the hazardous waste thing on my coat. But the goggles are like very true to life in this one. This one's definitely a lot more photoreal. I love that it got some like dirt on my lab coat, and the black plastic gloves, the black rubber gloves are a great touch. All right, on to the next one. Okay, so this is definitely Vincent van Gogh. This one's also from Abby. This one makes me think, does anybody remember Beakman's World? It was like a 1990s like kids science show, but the guy had this is what he looked like. He had the crazy aliens, man, like hair that stood up like this. But in Van Gogh style, you have the kind of impasto impressionism happening here with the paint smudges that really stick up. I love the implication here that whatever I was making blew up in my face and I kept going anyway. And in both of hers, I'm pouring out my soup. I don't know what you're trying to say, but in both of your pieces of art, I'm not keeping the soup in the bowl. It is pouring out. And once again, we have very clearly labeled tomato soup. And some vials. I don't know who's going to win in these votes because they're all so unique. And then finally we have this one from Jacob. This one is giving me like some Mary Shelley, Frankenstein's monster. Look, I even have frilled sleeves, dude. I also have a very hairy wrist. Who knows what that's about? The melting candles in the side. I love that my soup has transformed into a glowing cauldron of some magma-like bioluminescent substance. That's beautiful. I love the hues, like the very what's the word I'm looking for? Like kind of the Lovecraftian hues of like red and dark green and like the moody midnight moon glow outside the window. My tall ceiling height stained glass windows. I love how unique each of these are. And then of course like my steaming vial. We won't talk about the fact that apparently there's a hole in my cork because it's corked but it's still steaming. And then like a diagram of a pumpkin. No, I guess this is a diagram of a tomato up here. So I was feverishly scrawling out the recipe on my slate wall, which it turned my microwave into like an interesting glass cabinet up here. These are also cool. You guys did a great job as always. So like quick review, we have Da Vinci from Abby. We have Studio Ghibli from Francisco. We have like 90s Thrill Ride from Sarah. We have Van Gogh from Abby again. And then we have like classic thriller, classic horror from Jacob. Those are so good, guys. Great job. So those are going to be up on my Instagram story this week, and there will be a public poll. People are just going to be able to vote, and whoever wins the vote wins. But everybody's going to get to see them because they're hilariously fun. All right. Callista says, "Where's mine?" Thank you. I felt like I missed one. Hang on, guys. I missed Callista's. I felt like I missed one, but I couldn't remember. Again, some people sent them to me over text. Some people sent them to me on Facebook Messenger. Some people sent them on Instagram. So it was just hard. Okay, I just got it. Let's get that one up there. 1 second. I gotta airdrop it. But wait, there's more. We have a bonus submission. Actually, she sent it at the same time as everybody else. It was me that missed it. All right, let's get that opened up with preview. Oh, this one's great too. There's a lot of this. Yeah, this is the one that has all of the Easter eggs in it. All right, let's get that added really quick. Back OS screen capture, application, and Okay, there it is. Beautiful. All right. Once again, it's going to take me a second. I got to resize this guy. There we are. Let's make it a little bit bigger. All right, this one's from Callista. So this one's very realistic. This one's very photoreal, but it very much. Oh, this is from the very first screenshot. So this is not in front of the microwave. This is a different one. This is giving me like also kind of 1990s like textbook vibes. Like this is the kind of textbook that would be passed down from one class to the next, and you had to keep a book cover on it so you didn't ruin it, and you had to pass it to the next year. Very, very textbooky, and I love that about this. But what I'm enjoying even more is all the little Easter eggs. So today's recipe, Teeny's mac. I don't know who Teeny is. I don't know why Teeny has mac. And what we made certainly didn't have macaroni in it, but maybe it saw my white onions in here and it interpreted that as macaroni. Ingredients, good ingredients, a little science, lots of love. Bowl equals fire. And then we have like, I need this mug. I kind of want this mug now. Curiosity plus butter equals magic. Please? The thing is, I could make this mug. Those of you who have seen my merchandise on my website, it all comes from a print-on-demand site. So when someone orders it, it gets created and then shipped to them. Which, by the way, if you haven't, go to SamuelDayOfficial.com and check out some of my merchandise on there. T-shirts, mugs, shoes. I've even got shoes on there. But now I kind of want to make this mug. Curiosity plus butter equals magic. On top of the science of cheese, pasta perfected, flavor chemistry, and cooking is chemistry, but tastier. And it changed my Hormel tomato sauce, crushed tomatoes, to just cheese sauce, which feels a little insulting to Hormel. Today's formula, pasta, cheese, butter, and a dash of science. I'm getting, that's very Paula Deen of whatever you used is very Paula Deen coded because she adds butter to everything. And I love like the little like clip art up here. The beaker, the atom, and the hat. And it says Chef Sam on there. I can tell you spent a lot of time on this prompt because like my lab coat with my like little pocket protector pens in here, saying Chef Sam is something you would have had to tell it. So I can tell you put some thought and effort into this. That's great. Okay. I haven't seen the chat this whole time because this covers my whole screen when I do it. So if I haven't responded to chat, that's why. Abby says, I didn't say anything about that in the prompt. I just knew that about you. Abby says, oh my gosh, Teeny is my girl. Mac and cheese queen. Abby was sharing about mac and cheese, and I got it in the... That's hilarious. Okay, so when you... I didn't even think about this, but when you screenshot the live chat is on the screen. And so it picked up Abby's comment about mac and cheese and incorporated that into the... I love that. I love that it's seeing the chat, and it's like, what do I do with that? I'm just going to put it on a menu board at the bottom. Okay, hopefully this soup has cooled off enough by now that I can eat it. Guys, that is so good. I could add things to it. It definitely is still pretty tangy. But I really don't think it needs the sugar. Richard Nelson says, hi bro, where are you from? So I'm originally from the Cincinnati area. I'm a musician and an actor and a producer, among other things. But I do this cooking stream once a week to just hang out with everybody and share some things that I'm working on, talk about Jesus. So I'm from the Cincinnati area, but I'm currently located in the Fort Worth area of Texas. If you would like to check out some of my music or see some of the vlogs, whatever, I just put that link in the chat for you. No, this soup is really good. I actually like the chunkiness of it. I can still see those individual onions and things. It's a healthy amount of basil to have in there. Gosh, this is just so much more interesting. I bet I could put more Parmesan cheese into this, though. Yeah. And I'm not going to add it to the whole pot. I'm just going to add it to this bowl. I'm going to do it Olive Garden style. Suffering through the onions was worth it, though. And guys, again, if you have a recipe that you want me to try on stream, send it to me. Let me know. There we go. Not too much. Not too much. Just a little bit on the top. Mix that in. Which, can you really ever have too much? Well, guys, I want to say thank you once again for joining me for this week's episode of Let Him Cook. We made Abby's tomato soup, which is awesome. I'm going to keep it in my book of recipes. I'll probably make it again because it's really good. I definitely need to add some protein to it on the side or some kind of bread or something. That's on me. And I've got my little boba tea. All right, we're going to head to that end screen. JL Cloudfelter says, too much parm isn't a thing. It meets the protein ratio. That's right. So Jacob and I have been going to the gym together recently. Well, we've only been together once, but we're starting to make it a thing. And he was talking about like macros, right? And it's like calories versus protein or something. And Parmesan apparently has a pretty good protein ratio for what it is. So no such thing as too much protein. Add whey protein powder to it and tell me how it is. Abby just being unhinged in here. Look, I know I made that chili spaghetti donut that time to meme on you guys. But I'm not going to meme on every... I don't want to ruin this. This is so nice. If you're really a mad... She's like, do it. You won't do it. Do it. If you're really a mad scientist, here's the thing. I would add a neutral protein powder to this. The only protein powder I have right now is chocolate. JL says parm is the protein. All right, my friends. Well, thank you. Boo! Thank you guys for another awesome hangout. I'm going to finish my dinner and get cleaned up and finish a few more things for the night. Feel free to hang around in the chat for a little bit. I've got a couple music videos that are going to play in the outro. I'll be watching the chat too. But you guys came to watch me cook, not to watch me eat. So, I love you guys. Jesus loves you. Until next time, onward and upward.
We both know this is a second try, but we've not been here before. Finding innocence They've been looking at me sideways, gotta be a dream. Like how's he about to rise up out the dust and make a scene? But you and I both know how far I've come. That makes me dangerous. But I can't take all credit for this. I'll still hold